Hi, I'm Sonni de Soto, and this is an excerpt of my Love in Lockdown story, Running Hot. Let being good feel good. With rising restrictions and letdowns over lockdown limitations, let yourself escape with a bit of sweet romance stories that prove love is still possible even under quarantine. Check out my Love in Lockdown series for free on my Patreon. Donna's gaze dipped as Nathan bent low to stretch, the muscles of his legs, back, and ass flexing. God, quarantine was doing a number on her if she was checking out her best running buddy. But it had been so long since she'd touched or been touched by anyone other than her vibrator. It wasn't like she hadn't had dry spells before, but this felt different. Touch seemed so taboo now. All the small, everyday encounters, handshakes from acquaintances, hugs from friends, to say nothing about the intimacies from lovers, now carried with them this looming sense of risk. Hell, she hadn't even stepped out of her house without a mask in months, and the barrier between her and the world felt so isolating. Donna didn't know what she'd do if she didn't have her morning runs with Nathan. You ready? His voice was muffled as he stood up and adjusted his mask. Adjusting her own mask, Donna nodded before they both started to jog along the park pathway. I don't think I'll ever get used to wearing masks, especially while running. Nathan grunted in agreement. Still better than the alternative. Fair enough. A mask was better than a ventilator, but still. I know they say they don't obstruct your breathing, but I always feel out of breath when I wear one. Nathan nodded. Yeah, I get that. He shrugged. You know how I've got a thing about closed spaces? Yeah. Nathan was one of those people who never shut doors if he didn't have to. He was always quietly aware of where to sit or stand in a room by a window or a door so he didn't feel shut in. She wondered how the lockdown was affecting him. If she was going stir crazy, she couldn't imagine what it was doing to him. He picked up the pace a bit. Well, wearing a mask feels similar. Something about the mask being right up against my nose and mouth. Especially when I first put it on, I get this feeling like all the air has been sucked out. Donna frowned. You can take it off if you want. She looked around the empty early morning area. It was the nice thing about being early risers. No one's here but us. Nathan's stride slowed for a moment before he shook his head. I don't go out to many places, but I go out. To the grocery store, to the drugstore, to get gas, even to go on these runs. He sighed. I don't feel sick, but you just never know. He glanced at her for a moment before he turned to steadfastly stare at the path ahead, and I would never put anyone's health, especially not yours, at risk just for my own comfort, especially not for something as quick as a run. It shouldn't have. But for that short second that their gazes met over their masks, it felt electric. She felt that look straight through to her soul. It was somehow strangely more intimate than any touch she'd ever experienced. Damn! This was an absolutely awful time to need to get laid. She fell a couple steps behind Nathan. It was really hard not to look at him with pure want. He was a genuinely nice guy who cared about the people around him. He was hardworking and smart and had this innate way to make people feel at ease around him. Lord knew he was nice to look at. Thick black hair that begged you to run your hands through it, chiseled cheekbones and a straw jawline peeked out from behind his cloth mask. His eyes were often dark and intense, but could spark with a playfulness that always intrigued her. She shook her head. She needed to run off all this extra energy. That was all this was, cooped up stir craziness manifesting as horniness. She just needed to run. Except she could hear him breathing, could feel the heat of him beside her. She was so aware of every movement of his body, the steady rhythm of his feet on the pavement, the strong controlled swings of his arms as his powerful legs propelled him forward. Even his mask moved with a kind of grace, puffing in and out with each breath. Every time he breathed in, she could almost see the outline of his full parted lips against the cloth. She imagined the feel of it against his lips, even as she couldn't ignore the feel of her own against her own mouth. On a gasp, she tripped over a rock on the pavement that she would have easily avoided if she hadn't been so distracted. Not even remotely ready for the fall, she stumbled forward awkwardly before hitting the pavement hard on her hands and knees. Donna! Nathan dropped to his own knees next to her, his hand on her shoulder after months of no physical contact. Stole her breath. Are you okay? To read the rest of this free story, as well as the rest of my Love in Lockdown series, head over to patreon.com/Sonni de Soto or get this story as a $1.50 PDF via PayPal Me. For more from me, follow me at instagram.com/Sonni de Soto _all ages, or for a quick list of all the things I'm currently working on, go to linktree/Sonni de Soto all ages. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. All right. It's been like a year and a half, so let's not have that line in there. All right, so it's fine.